All right, let's talk about the word of the month in Washington, D.C. It's chaos. We've got federal workers getting yanked back into the office with no warning. We've got buyouts that sound great until you realize they're just a nice way to push people out the door. And sitting on top, the billionaires and the career politicians calling the shots, completely unaffected by any of it. Let's start with this return to office nonsense. For years, government was fine with people working remotely. Now suddenly, they're demanding everyone pack up their lives and get back to DC immediately. Not in a few months, not in a year, but now. If you moved out of state because you thought your job was actually remote, tough luck. You either uproot your life, somehow find housing in one of the most expensive markets in the country, or you quit. And guess what? If you leave, the government saves the money on your salary. So, mission accomplished, I guess? And speaking of cutting costs, let's talk about the budget cuts. Washington keeps saying it's about reducing the deficit, and listen, I get it. Spending is out of control, but the people making these decisions, they have no idea what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. They aren't people worrying about rent. These aren't people sweating over an unexpected bill. These are people who could lose every dollar in their government salary and still be set for life. So, of course they're making cuts that don't affect them. Guess who does get affected? The career employees, the ones who actually run the government, the ones processing tax refunds, handling VA benefits, keeping the infrastructure from completely falling apart. Instead of cutting at the top, where the real money is, they're cutting the workers who spent decades in public service. These are the people keeping the lights on while Congress plays chicken with the economy. And let's not ignore the housing crisis. You really think it's a coincidence that they're forcing workers back into one of the most expensive cities in the country? The median home price in DC is $645,000. Rent's going up every month. A lot of these workers moved out during the pandemic to find something affordable. Now they're expected to just, move back? With what money? Meanwhile, you know who's not worried about housing? The billionaires making these calls. The politicians who don't need their government salary to survive. They don't need an emergency fund because they'll never have an emergency. They don't have to stress about layoffs because their version of unemployed is just retiring to a yacht. So yeah, Washington is in chaos, but not for the people at the top, not the ones making these decisions. It's chaos for the workers, the people who have been holding the government together while the people in charge treat it like some high-stakes poker game. Why is a DC realtor talking about all of this? Because chaos like this doesn't happen in a vacuum. You might not be a government worker, but this is still your problem. You live here. Your neighbors, your community, your city, all of it's about to feel the ripple effect. Unemployment and housing insecurity are just the start. What happens next? We might see an overabundance of homes hitting the market, people selling because they can't afford to stay. At the same time, we're likely to see more renters flooding in, looking for places to land after losing jobs or being forced to move. And if you don't live in DC, don't get too comfortable because this kind of instability doesn't stay put. When the capital shakes, the whole country feels it. So, do you have family or friends caught up in this? Or are you personally dealing with the fallout? Let me hear your experience. I'd love to talk to you about this. This is something that is affecting the Washington, D.C. region and the United States of America because what is next? We don't know what's coming down the pike. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Go out and enjoy the snow.